Welcome to Learning Life Skills Together. This is our weekly community Zoom meeting where our guests help us to go deeper into the 4 life skills and open up a huge array of chances to practice them. Hello, everyone. This is number 59 in our weekly Zoom meetings for learning life skills together. And this is the second in our series where we're taking a deep dive into each of the 4 skills. And so last time we looked at the skill of attention. We read a poem called The Guest House. Go back and check it out if you haven't checked that one out yet. And in this one, we're going to start with some words from a poet, and then we are going to investigate the idea of balance, the idea of emotion regulation. That's the skill. And we'll take a look at that, and we'll take a look at why words really matter. So, as always, we're going to start with a practice, and this is a practice of noticing what words do with you, to you, in you. So, this is a poem by Mark Strand. I'm just going to read the first 3 lines, and I think you will get the idea that words can sort of change the way we feel, shift the way we feel very quickly. And so this is called eating poetry. Ink runs from the corners of my mouth. There is no happiness like mine. I have been eating poetry. And so maybe you just want to notice how those 3 lines affect you. What happens in your mind? What happens in your emotions? What does it feel like in your body to hear these lines? Ink runs from the corners of my mouth. There is no happiness like mine. I have been eating poetry. Just noticing how it is for you to hear that. It might be like, wow, that's the strangest thing I have ever heard. It might be, ooh, I can actually sort of feel a trickle at the corners of my mouth. It might be that you're someone who loves to read, and that reading does make you happy. And when you're reading, when you have your book and you're by yourself, there is no happiness like that. And just spending a little time with yourself, noticing how you feel. And so I sort of introduce this idea of emotion regulation with a poem that, granted, is a little weird. So this is not the whole poem, and it actually gets weirder. And if you want to look it up, it's Eating Poetry by Mark Strand. And so how we use words has a lot to do with how we feel. And so we're going to talk about that, and we're going to talk about it specifically in terms of how that fact can help us regulate our emotions, can help us go from feeling out of balance to feeling more in balance. And maybe how it lets us sort of work with our emotions by smoothing them out, by choosing the right words to think about them with. So here's the thing with our kids, how many words do they know for the emotions that they experience? So I know a middle-aged man who has told me that he thinks he has basically three words for his emotions. He's either mad, he's sad, or he's glad, or he says, I feel whatever. So when we have a limited number of words that label how we're feeling, we're kind of stuck in that feeling. If all we can feel is mad, sort of where are we? How do we get out of that? How do we work in a different way? So if our kids, and if we, frankly, know other words for kind of the various ways that we can feel that would come under the big heading of angry, of mad, what happens if we think about, well, it's not really mad. I'm just impatient. I wish this would change. I wish this would go faster, whatever that might be. Or maybe we say that I'm irritated. You know, like I'm irritated that my little brother keeps coming up to me and asking me these stupid questions, right? That's very irritating. I'm not mad. I'm not going to act out the mad. I'm going to say, wow, I'm irritated. Or I'm going to say, maybe if it escalates, if there's more of it, that I'm annoyed. And it might even become frustrating. But, you know, it doesn't have to get to the point of, I am angry. There we have many, many words for what it is like to be angry. So I want to say, I have a list of 100 words that I just pulled out of the thesaurus, the great treasure house of words. I put in angry, and this is what I got. Here's a few, top few. Enraged. Ooh, that's even more than I'm mad. I am enraged. I am indignant. And I don't know about you, but when I hear indignant, I kind of want to stomp my feet. Like, this is not fair. I'm outraged. Oh, I'm infuriated. It's like I have a short fuse and it's burnt almost all the way down, right? Infuriated. I'm going ballistic, right? I'm shooting off. I'm taking off right out of where I was standing, right? But then there's, you know, I'm feeling passionate about that. Or that makes me sore, and I can kind of feel that in my body, you're really making me sore there, buddy. Or I am, let's see, hot, because that is how our body feels when we start to come into that realm of feeling, right? Maybe we're flushed, maybe our face is flushed, or we're riled up. And so where our body wants to move, it wants to go somewhere. So some of the other ways that we talk about this is I'm in a huff, like how I'm breathing. How dare you, right? So I'm blue in the face. Sometimes we're red in the face. What does it mean to be blue in the face? Like I'm holding my breath so that I don't yell. I don't know. Maybe I'm foaming. Maybe I'm feeling kind of shirty. I hadn't thought of that word in a very long time, and I wonder if everybody's even heard that about. I'm feeling pretty shirty about this. Not sure what it means even, but it has a different feeling to it, doesn't it, than I'm mad. So how about I am embittered? I am feeling bitter about this. Ooh, that's a whole different way of looking at it. I really don't like this. I don't want it. It has a bad taste. So maybe, let's see, I am sulky. And we've seen that in our kids. And do we use that word for it? Going off in a sulk. Here's one that we use at my house, which is grumpy. Oh, you're being pretty grumpy, or I'm feeling grumpy right now, right? So there's lots and lots of ways that we can sort of regulate our emotions by choosing the word that best fits how we are. So this means a couple of things, right? It means what kind of words do we use about our emotions, about how we're feeling in front of our kids? Are we like that middle-aged man I know, just happy, sad, mad, or, I'm feeling whatever, guys? That doesn't really help all that much in understanding what's going on with me. And one of the things that will happen as our kids learn more and more words for their emotions, and they can't help but do that because they live in a society that sort of runs on words, right? We hear a lot of words every day. So we pick up the ones that are helpful to us, that express how we are. So if our kids can come to us and say, you know, I'm really boiling right now over what happened, that means like the lid is rattling, but not that the water is flying out all over the place. Right? So we get a better chance to understand what's going on, and we can ask a question about it, right? So we can help our kids come into balance. And the really interesting thing for me is that what happens in our brain when we try to match up how we're feeling with a word, what happens in the brain is it starts to calm us down. Because when our thinking mind takes over, that really reactive, emotional mind gets calmed down. There are actually connections from that part of the brain that does that thinking about what word and matching it up to the feeling. That process actually calms the part of the brain that does the angry, threatened part of us. That is, the part where emotions come from. So as we work more and more to connect our words with our feelings, we come more into balance naturally. I mean, this is a process. It is something that is happening in our brains. And I think that's pretty cool. And that's one of the reasons that I love words. And one of the reasons that I love poetry is that poets spend their whole careers trying to match up a sequence of words, a series of words, a sentence, a phrase with a real feeling that we all share. So, so we can work with ourselves in that way just by thinking about words. So, how is it that we can do that with and for our kids? Well, we can share things like stories about ourselves, stories about them when they were younger, stories about, other people in the family, as well as stories that we can read to them that give us vocabulary, as they say, right? So the bigger our vocabulary of emotional words is, the more we're going to pick the right one. But the choosing and picking helps us to calm down. So this is called Name It to Tame It. And so this is actually in the program in Module 3. We talk about naming to tame, right? So when we name the emotion, it helps to calm us down. It helps us to know that this is a feeling that other people have, right? If we're in the whatever place of that man that I know, you know, how do we react? How do we respond? What do we do? We don't have guidelines. I kind of know what to do if I'm feeling irritable, right? Kind of know what to do if I'm hot under the collar, right? Oh, all right. I'm going to have to say something. I'm going to have to do something here. So just learning words in the normal flow of the day, right? So this isn't something where we sit down and we give somebody a lecture or give somebody a list of 100 words, although I have one for you for angry if you want it. Um, there's lots of sort of moments in our day where these things can come up. We might be feeling a certain way, and we might just say that when we're with our kids. Wow, I'm really feeling exasperated because of what happened today. Let me tell you about it. And now they have another word that they can use to match up. I wonder if I ever feel exasperated, right? So we've spent a lot of time talking about being angry, and so I don't know how you're feeling right now, but there's lots and lots of um, emotions that we can start from, right? So the next one I looked up was another one that man told me, which was happy. So happy, mad, whatever. So here's happy. We could be delighted. So we don't have to just stick with happy. Delighted, ooh, that raises me up. I feel kind of light. We can be pleased about something. I can feel the smile from that. We can be glad. We can be satisfied. Oh, that was good. This is how I feel. Yeah. We can feel thankful. That's a way of being happy, right? If we're really happy, we could be joyful. We could be blissful, or we could be cheerful, right? So cheerful has a whole different kind of feeling about it, doesn't it? I'm feeling happy. Well, I'm feeling cheerful. I'm so full of cheer that I'm going to share it with others. And that's maybe when we act a little silly or we laugh a lot and we maybe even are contagious. So this is a good one, right? To be thinking about. We can be thrilled. We can be feeling merry. We don't use that one very much, but except in songs like May Your Day Be Merry and Bright. But It's a real world word, and it may be that we actually feel that way. So we could be tickled, and we all know what that's like, right? So is that the same kind of happy? You know, if somebody gives me a serious present, like an expensive one, I might be thankful, I might be grateful, I might be pleased. But when somebody tells me a joke and I am tickled by that, that's a different level of happiness, isn't it? So I might be feeling upbeat. I might be feeling, oh, let's go for one that not everybody would pull off the top of their head here. How about euphoric? I'm feeling euphoric. I am so much in the sky, in the stratosphere. That's how great I feel, right? And lightheaded would be another way of saying that, I think. We could be enraptured. We could be blithe. We could be, oh, here's an old word. We could be gladsome. And so all of you can see that as we run into those words and make them our own and sort of put them into our repertoire, our big word list, we have more to work with. We have more to check through. We're going to help to balance ourselves faster because there's a lot to look at and a lot to consider. So, how can we build our child's vocabularies? By building our own first, by talking about our own emotions and their names first, and then by helping, right? How are you feeling? I'm feeling angry at, my sister because she won't leave me alone. And so we could say, well, I'm not sure it's really angry that you're feeling. I think maybe you're irritated by her. Like when something keeps rubbing up against you and it's making you feel a little raw and itchy. That's how we can be in our minds. So as we go through what the children are working with, we can be expanding their vocabularies. And that's going to help them ultimately come into balance more easily and quickly because I want to come back to it again, because that's how our brain works. When we're turning on that part of our brain that's looking for the word for how we feel, it's calming the parts of our brain that are overly excited, right? Whether it's with anger or excessive happiness, if there could be such a thing, right? Too much, I'm too happy. No, I'm not sure about that. But how about being sad, right? How about feeling down? How about feeling dejected? I mean, so there's lots of ways that we could be. How about just disappointed, right? What happens when we investigate all of the words that are possible? The poets do this for us. The songwriters do this for us. You know, we take the songs that we hear for granted a lot. They're just the words and they go with the tune, right? What happens if we really stop and say, oh, why did she say that she was feeling sunny, right? What did that bring to this song and to my feeling about it that I wouldn't have had if she'd used something else? So I want to leave you with that thought that we can really consume words, that we can, you know, sort of eat poetry. And so we come back around, and maybe there's something different that you feel when I read, ink runs from the corners of my mouth. There is no happiness like mine. I have been eating poetry. And so if you haven't checked out module 3 on emotional regulation, so it's titled Balance because that's what we do. We go out of balance with our emotions and then we bring ourselves back. So if you haven't checked out that module, the balance module, and you're interested, please do. And we'll take up our next topic and have, I hope, a poem or something to start us off and keep us interested.